Awesome. So, are you ready to go?
Yeah, are you?
This is strangely uncomfortable, but I think I can manage. I mean, this is just my real hair. This is how I
Yeah,
always
yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic. It's the shampoo. It's what it is. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Brit McAdams, the writer and director of Paint, which is coming to theaters on April 7th, 2023. We're going to talk to him right now. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. It also help a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me. This is Brit McAdams, the writer and director of Paint, which is coming to theaters on April 7th, 2023. It is a very quirky comedy drama that has some heartfelt moments, some funny scenes, and a lot of painting. So I'm really excited to talk to you, and thanks so much for your time.
David, thanks so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So, you are the writer and director of this. So the first question is always gonna be like, where did this story come from? Like, what strange place did this beautiful picture emerge from?
So basically, I just always love the idea of that, like Bob Ross. Watching Bob Ross as a kid, he had this ability to sort of transfix you, and take wherever you had been before and take you someplace else. And that world was a really pleasant place to be, where you sort of marveled at someone's incredible talent. And for however you went in to it, like being surprised at someone's gigantic wig, like someone I'm looking at right now.
Natural hair, you mean? How dare you, sir?
So, you would sort of go into this world of being like, it's this, as a kid, it's this guy with this wig and this painter guy. And then you'd sort of like be like, oh, who is this guy whispering? And then he just had this incredible ability to just transfix you and just change your whole world and take you to a very, special place, a very where the world outside just didn't seem to matter. Mm-hmm. And then when the show would end, everything in the world would get loud, and you'd return to wherever you had been. But just this remarkable ability that he had to just change your world. And so I like the idea of someone having that power. And Bob Ross always seemed to be the nicest guy in the world, and I always like the idea if there was someone like him who didn't use that power for good, and what that world would look like.
It seems like just a very strange situation. I mean, like I at least know of Bob Ross growing up, but like having someone that is able to kind of transfix you and like slow down the world, that doesn't seem to kind of mesh with how our modern society is. It seems like everything is quicker, shorter, faster paced, and just kind of like this was a nice contrast to kind of our real life, where people were able to sit down and watch him paint a picture and actually enjoy that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's such power in that. Like I when I was in my 20s, I worked at VH1 when it was a music channel, and there was a woman there who would speak, and this woman who would speak really, really softly in meetings. And she would, she'd say, I think I have an idea about how, and she could just control a room by speaking so softly. It was so different than everyone else. Everyone else, blah, 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 I got this idea, blah, blah. And she would just come in and do that, and you would just had to listen to her. And I just always sort of marveled at the power that she had over people. And I do think, it's that power of, an artist has that type of power, more so I think than a rock star or anything else. If you can be quietly, sensitively talking to someone, you can quickly feel like someone's entire world. And that's the power that Carl Nargle, which is Owen's character, sort of has over all of PBS Burlington and everyone around him.
Yeah, and again it's kind of funny, like thinking of someone being quiet and able to kind of control a room. It is really a skill. It's definitely something that kind of like you hear sometimes people do that. They'll like be quiet so that everyone has to lean in and actually listen, versus how normally people listen. They're kind of on their phone at the same time and like half listening while they're doing something else. So that is definitely a trait that I'm glad that you pulled out and also is resonant in this film.
Yeah, it's a really fun world, and it's I love the idea of a world that, it's set in a PBS station, so the whole world is such a polite, understated world, and the stakes are so high in this world when you are the biggest fish in the smallest of ponds. So I really like a world where there's stakes at a very, very polite level is something really fun.
And so you wrote and directed this film. Was this written with the idea that you would direct it, or was that just something you put the story out, and then when you're like looking at it, you're like, I think I can probably direct this, and you kind of decided that? How did your switching hats happen?
I've always been a writer director, so that was always sort of the hope. There were definitely times it's taken 13 years to get made, so there have been times along the way where I've been like, and some kind of big directors coming in and wanting to do it, and my agent, especially Blair Cohan at UTA, saying, no, you're going to direct this, which was great. Her belief in me doing it. But in terms of switching hats, it's interesting. I guess I've done both so long that I would be comfortable doing either. I do like, it's a very specific film, so it's nice getting the jokes on the page. I understand what the writer's doing as the director, so that's nice when that makes sense. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see someone else direct it. If I don't know, it's an interesting idea that, if someone else had done it, what would be different about it. But I do really love the film and how it's turned out.
Yep, for sure. I mean, this has like such a strong kind of quirky style to it that I imagine, was in your head when you were writing. So it is very nice that you were then able to kind of realize that vision, because it does have a very kind of strong presence throughout, especially at the start when you have, like you said, Carl's painting and everyone is kind of transfixed, and it is a very quiet, delicate type of opening. That kind of feel definitely comes through, and I imagine that's probably because you both had the vision and then also realized that vision.
Yeah, I guess in some ways it's odd. It's odd because I don't know any other way to do it. Like, having written it, it has been clearly in my mind for so long that that part didn't feel hard. Like, none of it actually felt hard in terms of shooting it. It was just sort of like, getting the camera in the right position to do it. But yeah, we had, like, the cinematographer on it is my old friend Patrick Cady, who's off with J.J. Abrams directing stuff for him. So he's he was a real, I tricked him into making this movie with me. And then Todd Jeffrey, the production designer, and Ali Pierce, who did costume design. They're all really, really talented people, and sort of were able to create this world that feels unique and really matches the character. The world, he's trapped in the past. He hasn't had to change his ways for the 22 years he's had the #1 painting show on PBS Burlington. So the world around him has never changed. He's his hair hasn't had to change, and he still fits into his jeans, and he's still got his fantastic van. So there's no reason for any part of him to change. And the world around him, at least in terms of things immediately around him, hasn't changed, although the world outside of that is changing, and he's not so good at adjusting to that.
Yeah, just trying to think of having hair and fitting into my clothes from 22 years ago. That just sounds like a wonderful, wonderful world. I kind of want to go to that world as well.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I think if I just worn some really loose sweatpants 22 years ago, I could still fit in.
Well, that seems to be, well, that was what we were wearing for a while. I guess maybe now that's changing, but we'll see how this new world emerges, where maybe sweatpants will be acceptable and you'll be fine.
Oh, that's the hope. That's the real hope here.
That is the moral of this movie.
Exactly.
And so, I loved the cast. I thought it was a great cast and really kind of a fun interplay between them. How did they get involved? Was Owen involved first, or did some other people get involved and then Owen kind of like signed on later? How did you kind of assemble this wonderful picture?
Owen came on board, and that just sort of made everything easier. He's such a draw, and he's so good, and he's such a nice, good person. So people want to work with him. And then, people like, we were just super lucky to get Michaela and Michaela Watkins and Wendi McLendon-Covey and Stephen Root. And so those were people we were really lucky to have on board, who wanted to do the film. And then Becca Deely in New York was our casting director, and she found other people, Ciara Renee, who's a huge Broadway star, who is the lead in Waitress and Frozen and Wicked and all these really huge productions. So we were super lucky to get her. And then Lusia Strus, who's been in a bunch of Adam Sandler movies, and it's just this chameleon who you're like, oh, wait, that's who that is. And so she was just a gift and really a scene stealer. And then Lucy Freyer, who's straight out of Juilliard and is going to be a huge star. So, you know, we put together this ensemble of really strong actors who are all really great people, and just got lucky to have all of them in it. They're all so good.
It just sounds like a very special place with all this special talent.
Absolutely.
And so the movie is about painting. Were there any, I don't know, like painting lessons? I can imagine like maybe a good icebreaker would be everyone takes like a painting and wine class. Although I've heard that is a good way to kind of like break the ice. Does anything like that happen?
Oh man, no. We shot during COVID, so it would have to
Wow.
be like, you know, it would have to be wine through straws. Owen really took a lot of painting classes. One of his painting instructors was David Arquette, which is pretty great.
Oh, that's amazing.
Owen can really paint. So yeah, he's you know, really invested in the craft and stuff. So, you know, there's painting in the film that he's really doing. So he's really skilled. I am not. So that's the reason you don't see me painting in the film.
Sometimes life is just not fair, right? Like Owen Wilson, this fantastic actor, funny person, super nice, also a very talented painter. It seems like sometimes the gifts just go to one person and don't get distributed to everyone else. But that is awesome to hear. I also cannot paint. These are actually my kids' paintings. They were better than anything I could have painted.
Oh, those are awesome. And that whole, what is that like? Are you in a projection room, or what are those chairs?
Oh, this is my my movie theater room. So these are like movie recliners.
Man, that's so much cooler than anything else in the world. It's more than just the hair. It's more than the hair. It's the whole world.
Yeah, this is definitely my special place, my happy special place.
It's great.
And so, you know, this is a good question, a good transition for a question about the paintings. Like, there were so many paintings. Where did those come from? Did you were some of them already made, or did you have them all specially made? Because that seems like a monumental task.
Yeah, we had Todd Jeffrey, the production designer. He had artists sort of all over there, people in Colorado and New York, and so even like the van itself, the van in the film Fantastic is that has a huge mural of Mount Mansfield on the side. So they're just incredibly talented artists who created all of these looks. You know, we have various painters in the film, so we have, you know, various people doing different styles of painting, and so you know, they're super talented people out there who but yeah, it was there are a lot of paintings in the film, and each is uniquely painted for a scene. So yeah, they each serves a purpose, and yeah, we're just so lucky to have that many people, you know, creating all of those works of art.
For sure. I mean, it definitely was needed to have like all those paintings in there to really show his breadth of talent, or not talent, depending on how you looked at it. I know we have limited time, so the very last question is: this is a movie where kind of one of the main things is you see Owen Wilson's hair, and that is a major draw. What is the craziest hair that you have ever had?
I have a lot of crazy hair. I have yeah, it's I have a lot of bad hair. So this is short hair for me. So my very, very nice wife who's very supportive of my hair choices. But yeah, I have a gray hair, and it can get gigantically horrible. So yeah, I'm no stranger to you can pull it off. And you can also literally pull off what you've got on. But yeah, I often have hair that I cannot pull off.
Well, normally for COVID, I had hair that I couldn't pull off, and then my wife convinced me to shave my head. So it looks much better normally, but you know, I do like this fro. Maybe I'll keep it around for a while. But,
I think you should.
I think I should too. Yes. You can check out this fro, and you can check out Brit McAdams' new movie Paint, which is coming to theaters on April 7th, 2023. Thank you so much for your time.
David, thank you so much.
That was Brit McAdams, the writer and director of Paint, which is coming to theaters on April 7th, 2023. It is a quirky comedy drama that features some very funny moments and a lot of painting. If you liked this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.